Hey guys, Freddy here. Welcome back to another retro magazine thing. Because this time we're going to be looking at Challenge Magazine issue number 48 from January 1991. Now, as I've said before, Challenge Magazine is one of my favourite role-playing magazines. Not just because it covers science fiction, which is my favourite genre of role-playing, but also because it's packed with articles fleshing out the worlds and loads of adventures. Absolutely adore that because it's a peek into all these games that I've never looked at before. Some fabulous stuff in there. And not only does it not just cover Games Designers Workshop games, which I'm a massive fan of, but it covered so many other science fiction games. It covered Cyberpunk, it covered Star Trek, it covered Shadowrun. So loads of great games in there. Now I have to ask you, as usual, please like, subscribe and comment below. Don't know why I was tripping over my tongue on that. Now, commenting below is my favourite method of you getting in touch with me, and let me know what you think of these magazine reviews, because these are one of my least popular types of videos, and it'd be interesting to know what you think of them. Do you remember these magazines? Are there magazines that I've kind of forgotten about that I could get PDFs and cover those, instead of just covering the massive pile of magazines I've got to my side? Anyway, let's go over and look at Challenge Magazine issue number 48. So, this is Challenge Magazine issue number 48, which came out January-February 1991. Remembering, of course, this was bi-monthly magazine, so there were only 6 issues a year. Now, Challenge is my favourite role-playing magazine because I'm not actually a massive fan of fantasy. I have a lot of fun playing fantasy games, but I much prefer science fiction, near future, cyberpunk, etc. gaming, and this is the magazine of science fiction gaming. Now, the wonderful thing about Challenge Magazine is, even though it was the in-house magazine of Games Designers Workshop, it supported a lot of games which weren't theirs. So we're going to find other science fiction games, probably some Shadowrun, definitely some GURPS, maybe some Cyberpunk within its pages. So, very nice cover image. The other wonderful thing about Challenge is we've got some other names. People who wrote for Games Designers Workshop, releasing role-playing games, really sort of famous writers. So first of all, we've got an advert inside for Buck Rogers, 3 novels coming out from TSR. Remembering, of course, this is in the era when the TSR was falling back on Buck Rogers because the family that owned the copyright was the family that owned TSR at the time. Find game stores, so lists of different game stores, a very large contents page, and we can see we've got 3 articles for Twilight 2000, Barbados, a 3-scenario campaign for Mercenary 2000, Strangers in a Strange Land, Escape POWs, roam the New Jersey countryside, how will the locals react to this organised group of Russians, Infantry Weapons Special Preview, well, we covered that fairly recently, so we shall see some of that. Mega Traveller, Death Among the Stars, a whodunits mystery set in the Solmani Rim. Orbit City, execute a 5th column assault in this race against the clock. Behind Blue Eyes, you're taken into custody after witnessing an assassination, dropping in the midst of the whirlpool of political intrigue. Overview of the Reese system. We're going where? Naval Reservists in 2300 for 2300 AD. For Dark Conspiracy, we've got Zombies of the Bayou. For Space 1889, we've got Time Voyager. George Wells, more famously Herbert George Wells, or H.G. Wells, is charged with the murder of an inventor. For Shadowrun, we've got In the Name of Finland. All you have to do is help a mage retrieve a stolen rock. And it's introducing Finland and its culture to magic, remembering that in Shadowrun, magic works differently depending on how you've come to it. Call of Cthulhu, the Bayou Ritual. Prominent occultist is murdered in Bayou, Purdue. Local townspeople perform a mysterious ritual. For Cyberpunk, we've got CADs. Introduce these power-assisted armor suits into your Cyberpunk campaigns. GURPS, we've got Hold Up at the Memory Bank. Liberate cell samples and brain tape of a prominent genetic engineer. For GURPS Cyberpunk it is, even though it doesn't mention the Cyberpunk there. For the Star Trek, we've got Comms Link Gambit. The monitor is missing. The only sign of it is a weak and unreliable distress signal. Could the signal be an imminent Klingon attack? For Battletech, we've got Wolf Trap, Renegade Legion, Hoplite Infantry Assault Carrier, and for Warhammer 40k, Space Orc Tactics. So we can see they cover an absolute mass of different games here. We start up, and there's an editorial. various letters, and then we're straight into many interesting articles. So we've got Barbados. Campaign is an expansion of our introductory mini campaign designed for Mercenary 2000. So we've got lots of stuff about the Caribbean, Barbados in particular. Strangers in a Strange Land. So the players are back in America, the Soviets have escaped from a prisoner of war camp, and the players have to round them back up. And then we've got a preview of Infantry Weapons of the World. Just some weapons there. The Traveller News Service, which is where the magazine sprung from, where it's updates on what's happening in the galaxy. An advert for White Wolf Publishing's campaign book. Don't really remember that at all. For Mega Traveller, we've got this Death Amongst the Stars, an Agatha Christie-style murder mystery for 1 to 4 players, where they're on a starship. We've got the deck plans for it, and we've got various people aboard it, and events. So, very much like Agatha Christie. Orbit City. The scenario where they're dealing with a revolt, I believe it says. Some adverts. Behind Blue Eyes, Part 1 and 3-part campaign in the turbulent post-rebellion Hinterworlds. They get caught up in politics. There's a lot in this one. This is by far the largest of the Mega Traveller adventures. An overview of the Reus system. What the different planets and cities within that system are. 2300 AD, we've got naval reservists. Zombies of the Bayou. Bayou Zombies for Dark Conspiracy. Apparently they kind of missed some stuff out of the last adventure. We've got Time Voyager. Very nice Martian image there with ant creatures, which I thought were more the moon in Space 1889, the Selenites. Or maybe I'm remembering something else. A nice little adventure of Space 1889. Got briefs. So very small reviews in the name of Finland, as I said, introducing what Finland like is in the Shadowrun world. Obviously not official, but going through Finnish magic, introducing some characters, getting them involved in being ducks out of water. The Bayou Ritual for Call of Cthulhu, quite a short one. CADS, a set of powered armor for Cyberpunk. Hold Up in the Memory Bank, a cyberpunk adventure for 3 to 8 characters. If you're not using stats, of course, you can very easily use that in Cyberpunk or in Shadowrun. Or cyberspace, I suppose, as well. It's the longest out of the 3 Cyberpunk articles. Comslink Gambit, a maintenance shuttle, and they're trying to get in contact with a missing starship. Wolf Trap, so a battle laid out with hexes and the forces on either side. Vehicle for Renegade Legion, the Hoplite Infantry Assault Carrier. An article on Space Orc Tactics for 40k Rogue Trader, the original one. Some reviews, rifts, Era 10, an advert for Mega Traveller stuff, classified ads, and what's coming next issue, as well as an advert for Shadowrun, Street Samurai Catalog, and DNA DOA. And on the back cover, an offer to subscribe to it, so you get future issues. Some absolutely great stuff in there. Much of it's very reusable, and as always, I find this a wonderful way of getting a glimpse into the worlds of other role-playing games. Without having to buy a copy of Mega Traveller, I can see what kind of adventures people are playing, so I know what kind of game it is, and whether that's going to be of interest to me and the people I play with. I really appreciated these because it went far beyond just simple reviews. It was giving you a real peek into how you would play that game and what kind of adventures you would have. So, Challenge, absolutely my favourite role-playing magazine. So, that was Challenge Magazine issue number 48. And some great stuff in there. I do love the way they use the pages of this magazine to flesh out the worlds of role-playing games with star systems for Traveller and stuff like that. And when I'm speaking here, I'm really thinking of that article on Finland for Shadowrun. Because officially we've seen Shadowrun sourcebooks on Germany and Britain, but the rest of Europe's kind of been left very vague. And the idea of going up to the Nordic countries, places which are very culturally distinct and have their own looks on magic and monsters and all that, and fleshing that out in the pages of this magazine. Really, really nice. I like that. Games Masters can easily slot that into their campaigns just as an interesting bit of tone to make their campaigns absolutely unique. Anyway, I think I've been wittering on for quite long enough as usual, so thank you very much for watching. But as always, most of all, you look after yourselves. I'll catch you later. Bye now.